Hey everybody, welcome to a Thursday. Is it Thursday? Today's Thursday.
It's Thursday.
Welcome to a Thursday edition of Box Seats. Laughing with these dudes, I completely missed the time. You know what I mean? Like that. That's unfortunate, as my wife would say. Anyway, my name is Frank Holder. That's Fig. That's Talent. We're doing a show called The Box Seats. If you're not familiar, these guys have been in comedy game for a very long time. They've been in comedy shows, comedy festivals, comedy commercials. Now they're in a comedy sports show. Now, for the last couple of weeks, guys, we've been talking, and I'm always doing, start off the show with a COVID thing, something about COVID. So now I'm gonna do what I call the COVID report. Okay, so can I do that? Just get that.
Might as well.
Get that first 15 seconds in. So here we go. The COVID report is the Texans and Bears have now closed their facilities. The 49ers placed 4 players on their COVID reserve list. The Packers and the 49ers have also said that they're going to still play tonight. Matt Stafford got placed on the reserve COVID list because of COVID, of course. And in college football, the several Cal players who tested positive, their game is in jeopardy against Washington. Louisville and Virginia have 10 players and 15 staff members who test positive, so their game is in jeopardy. And Tulsa Navy game is in jeopardy too because several players and staff members have tested positive. Now, as we all know, what do we see happening? The positive testing, everything else is still continuing to grow. Meanwhile, the games are still going on. That's my COVID report. Talent, I know I'm going to give you 60 seconds so we can jump into the show. 60 seconds so you can say the same thing you said yesterday and the day before. But, it's got to be said and done. So
yeah, I feel like we're like a young high school team and they're coming back with the STD reports. 4 y'all test positive. 2 y'all, I told you stay away from the girls, them cheerleaders, and he can't play, and he can't play. That's what every time you say somebody tests positive, that's what it sounds like. But again, we gotta say it. It's a part of the game. It's a sacrifice that the powers that be, the decision makers, they knew it was coming. They didn't care. They was like, we got a protocol set up to work through this. We're going to get through this no matter what. And here we are. And think about it, Frank. What are we going to do? We literally mid-season.
Well, when I was young enough, it's funny what you just said. When I was young, the big thing was mono. So I might call it the mono report. Everybody knows COVID by mono because
you must have went to the good schools.
Well, yeah, I did.
All y'all was worried about was mono? Damn.
Yeah, mono. That was the big thing when I was in high school. But yeah, if you had an STD when I was in high school, you can't come to school tomorrow at all. Fig, what's your thought process on this?
Yeah, man, I think all of this stuff is absolutely hilarious because Sam Darnold, quarterback of the New York Jets, caught mono.
Right. Yeah, remember that?
And man, I was thinking, mono is something. I didn't even know mono was that bad. When you was young and somebody caught mono, they was just like, oh yeah, that's the kissing disease. You know what I mean? You kiss somebody, you get mono. I was like, who was Sam Darnold kissing? It's like
I want to send Sam Darnold a shout out because we learned something right there. Like something non-football related. Because like you said, we did just think it was like a bump or something from kissing or whatever. And when he got real sick and missed games, I had to look it up. I read all up on it.
Yeah, it was like, what is this mono thing? Like, who knew that mono was that bad?
It scared the hell out of me. I cut all my radios in here on stereo. I stopped listening to it on mine.
Man, I went right out and bought surround sound for all my TVs. I haven't listened to nothing on mono.
The funny thing is, man, is COVID is right now is being treated like it's just a common cold right now. People are like, okay, yeah, he got COVID. Okay.
Man, I said it before, Frank. It's like some people are taking it serious and some people ain't. And I think the reason is because it only hit one community real hard, which we always know is always the Black community. But I believe, this is my belief, this is my what we call Minority Report or whatever. I believe that sometime around about the holidays, I believe this thing is gonna kick in and other people gonna start catching it. and then it's going to be a whole big thing, a whole big serious thing.
We've been talking about a star player right now since Matt Stafford got it. He ain't the big star, but when I'm telling you, when a Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes get it, I think in the NFL, I think that's going to change people's thought process because now the big star can't play, and a lot of revenue is going to be lost. That's the only way I think it's going to affect something and everything.
You know what? You know what the thing is that Cam Newton, but like a lot of people have caught it, like the healthy people caught it and they survived. But as soon as some help, like unfortunately, I think that nobody's gonna take it serious until somebody actually passed away from it. And that's really when it's gonna be like, yo, he was so young, he was so healthy. You know what I mean? That's when I think that people start taking things seriously. Unfortunately,
you're right. That's the part of it that I don't like. I think that because certain people are not, the fatalities are not being seen by certain people, that's pushing them to make decisions like sending the kids to school because it's not a lot of kids turning up dead. So it's like, oh, the kids ain't dying, send them to school. But they're not realizing that people are connected to people. So the kid might not die, but the kid might kill his grandparents.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes,
now,
sir.
I want to talk about the NFL a little bit later. I want to jump back into it, but I want to start out this, this show really jump into the NBA because of what's going on. The NBA and the NBA players look like they're coming to a close on the decision of starting on December 22nd. We touched on this a little bit yesterday because of, I know it's such a long, drawn-out conversation, and I knew today would be a better day to talk about this. But here's the situation right now. The NBA players and the NBA Association is agreeing to start December 22nd. The NBA is concerned because they don't want the season to start later because it'll go in effect. It'll basically clash with the Olympics, which is next year. They want more the NBA is proposing more back-to-back games and reducing the travel. They also want the players, like when you play a team, like let's say the Knicks and the Celtics play each other, but they're supposed to play each other 2 or 3 times during the year. They want them all to play together within the same 3 or 4 day period, so that way they don't have to keep traveling, which makes sense. They also want to cut the down to 50 games, and they want the players to take a small reduction in salary because it looks like that they're going to lose if they start in January. There's going to be a loss of 5 million. Yeah, so. Oh, and here's another big thing that I think everybody's not paying attention to. The NBA draft is scheduled for November 18th. So we are about to see a lot of movement in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Actually in the next week, we're going to see a lot of player movement because teams want to have an idea of what they have before they do the draft so they can know what they're going to draft, which, again, makes sense. Now, my question to you, Talent, and both and you, Fig, I'm going to throw this out there. If the league starts December 22nd, do you both, either one of you, I'll start with you, Talent, first. Do you see the big name stars taking off because of obviously the COVID and the season just ended for the Lakers and the Heat? It literally just ended. And the NBA guys are used to having 6 months off. Let's be honest. They're used to having 6-7 months off before they jump back into the NBA season. Do you see LeBron, Danny Green, and big names, like the bigger names, the Steph Currys, and them saying, you know what, we're going to come back in January? What's your thought process?
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's cool because of the simple fact that I don't think it's gonna happen, but I wouldn't have a problem because when everything sounded great until you got to the part where you said salary reduction. Now, because this is going to be the deal breaker, the salaries. So the guys that got the big contracts, hey, if they want to take off, they feel they can afford it, cool. But the ones that are making less money, they're living check to check like everybody else, so they don't feel they can afford it, so they should have an option to play. I shouldn't be forced to sit out and lose money because a guy who's making more than me decides that's what to do. You know what I mean? But the people who are real ball players, I will say this. The people who are real ballers won't take off. I can guarantee you that. The people who are at a certain level or prima donna or, have that thing about them, that swag. I won 4 chips. I did this or that. There's no rush. They're not pressed. They may take off, but I guarantee you that the people who don't, they're not making big bucks and they really thirsty and hungry for a chip. They're going to play. They're going to want to play.
Okay. All right.
But we got to think about this, Frank. We got to think, Frank. We got to also think about, we talked about the reason they're rushing to play is because the TV contracts and the amount of money you lose. So we got to also figure if I'm playing 4 teams on Christmas, the 4 top teams scheduled on Christmas, what difference does it make if the top players are not going to play?
Well, the
Am I
problem is,
breaching that contract?
yeah, but the problem is if you're sitting at home and the TV people are concerned because they want LeBron to play early because that's how they get their revenue. Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, if LeBron doesn't play early, if he says, "No, I'm sitting out," they're fearful that the people at home are not going to watch the Lakers game. Now, let's be honest. Let's be honest.
That's my point. That's my point. Is that a breach, though? That might be a breach in contract. You can't intentionally sit people down. If I'm saying, yo, I want your top 6 teams on Christmas, that's part of the deal. And then you give me the teams, but the top 2 players on each team is sitting out. That might be a breach.
Yeah, but here's the issue. The TV people make the deals of what teams are going to play on Christmas before the season starts. Like, they don't know what the top teams are going to be before the season starts. Like, they just hope that it'll be the Lakers and the Sixers and the Golden State Warriors. So they make those, they make that adjustment. Now,
right.
Players, obviously we find out what teams as good are they going to be during the season, right? So let's play it out. So let's say LeBron James is on the Lakers, which we know he's going to be. Let's say LeBron James is on the Lakers and he starts and he says, "You know what? I don't want to play." The team has already made a contract with CBS, or actually NBC and ABC and Disney. They already made a contract, so they're expecting him to play. But now if he decides, "You know what? I don't want to play because I'm not playing. I just played all the way up until November," and he takes off. Right. The people will be upset. You know what I mean? Right. So, what do you think, Fake? I mean, what's your thought process?
Well, first off, this goes back to some of the arguments that we have about the old school and the new school. The old school players, they don't take off. They wouldn't take off. Most of those guys, those stars, they realized their responsibility was to more than just themselves. They realized it was those fans that they were playing for that made these salaries absolutely possible, because the fans are the ones who actually pay you. And they played for those fans. Those old school stars played 82 games unless they were injured. There was no management. You know what I mean? Nobody managed to get to the postseason and to be healthy or rested during the postseason. Let me finish. That was just another time. And here's the thing. Here's what we're actually saying. We're talking about the biggest stars. And here's the thing. Nobody would watch those games. The teams are not even that important unless the biggest stars are playing. The only people that watch these games are the fans that are in those cities. So like Los Angeles might watch a game that LeBron and Anthony Davis is not playing in. But what about the dude in Cleveland? Or what about the dude in Milwaukee and stuff like that? Are they interested in the Lakers if the big stars are not playing? And that's the problem that people don't understand. It's like you got the NBA, which is the athletes, and then you got the business part of the NBA. And I think a lot of these guys miss it. It would just mess me up that the biggest stars don't play. A couple of players that I think will not take off. The players that were injured last year, like the Steph Currys, the Klay Thompsons, the Kevin Durant's, the Kyrie Irvings, like those guys who were injured and they really didn't play last year. I think you'll see those guys playing early. And you think about this, these guys didn't have all 4 months. I mean, you didn't have a whole 6 months off together, but you had 4 months off in between the season. You had a 4-month break. You came back, you played a little bit. Now you got another 2.5 month break, and then you come back.
Okay, let me jump in here because you said so many things and you can keep going on and on. Let me jump in here. Number one, the older players had a 6-month break, number one, off the top. That's number one. They had a 6-month break every single year. They didn't have to contend with the Olympics because there was no Olympics. The older players didn't start jumping into the Olympics until 92. That's number one. Number two, and this is probably the biggest one, they didn't have a 4-month break. They just didn't play on TV. The team still played, and they still scrimmaged, still practiced during that 4-month time, even though they weren't supposed. They still did those things until the time when the NBA said, no more, because of COVID, we can't have you guys play together at all. So for a team like LeBron James, like the Lakers and all the teams that made it to the bubble, they didn't have a 6-month break. And when the season starts off right now, they literally, especially teams that were in the bubble, they literally would have only had a 2-month break off. Now, the teams that didn't play at all during COVID didn't make it to the bubble. Yes, those guys want to play because they haven't played at all. So they want to play. Guys who were injured, yes, they want to play. But when you look at a person like anybody on the Lakers, I can't be mad at those guys if they say, you know what, I don't want to play right now because I want to eat. Like, they want to spend time with their
yeah. So
let me finish. They want to spend time with their families. They want to spend time do other things that they normally would do because some guys have so much things that's put on them and stuff to be able to do when they're off that time that they're able to spend with their family is not alone, because we all know the NBA season lasts 9 months. You know what I mean? And those guys go on and on. If you're a big star player, when you get your time off, you really, really want to because you have a family. Like, and I'll use LeBron James again as an example because he has high school kids, he has teenagers, he has people behind him that he wants to spend time with. So you can't get mad. You know, I honestly, I'm not a Lakers fan. You can't get mad at a person like LeBron James. You're like, listen, I just won the championship. I didn't take off in January. That'll only be 3 months off. So now I'll leave the floor back out to you all. Because this is like I knew it would be a debate.
Oh, I think as a fan I could get mad. I think when you take on a certain job, certain things are to whom much is given, much is expected. Now you cannot. I'm not crying for you. Yeah, you got kids, but you knew when you took this job, you would be away from your kids a long time. Some things they can go to, some things they can't. You at war. You at war. This is a battle. Competition is war. When you sign up to go to war, your kids and family know daddy's not home. He's out at war.
Yeah, but Dad, you did not know Daddy was going to be facing a COVID situation and not be
exactly. That's why you got to adjust. Everyone has to adjust right now in life with the pandemic. None of us are moving like we normally move.
I still don't think it's fair. I think if he wants to take off the January,
fair is a place where they judge pigs. There is no fair in life. There is no fair in life. It just isn't. There's no fair in life. This pandemic is worldwide, and everybody is dealing with it. And listen, are any of the doctors and nurses getting 2, 3, 4, 5 months off at a time and stuff like that? No, they go to work every day.
Yeah, that's their profession.
Let me finish. There's some people that in the midst of a pandemic, they have to go to work every single day. They get 2 days off a week, and then they go back to work for 5 days a week. We're talking about NBA players. You get paid millions of dollars to do something that most of us do for free. And this is the job where everybody has to make sacrifices in the midst of a pandemic. And these are the sacrifices that we're asking the NBA players, the NFL players, the Major League Baseball players. We're asking you to make concessions just like everybody else in the world. It's not just an American thing. It's a worldwide. It's everywhere on this planet. There's a pandemic, and we asking you guys to make a concession because we're in the midst of a pandemic, and we're asking you to do this, and you're going to get paid millions of dollars. Now, here's the caveat: if you don't want to do it, then forego your salary, because you can't get paid and stay home. Nobody does that.
If they don't play, they don't pay. They don't get paid. So the guys who are rich enough are the ones who are taking off anyway. The ones who are starting in late December, those are the guys who got to pay because they're living paycheck to paycheck. So those guys are playing.
And then at the end of the day, you know what that really boils down to is that I don't want to call it selfish, but in a way it is, because at the end of the day, I'm thinking, what about the fans? What about the fans who are actually the ones that were coming to the games before the pandemic, the ones that only can see you on TV, they'll be watching. So if you don't play, what are they really getting? If the biggest stars, which drives this league, the biggest stars in the NBA is a star-driven league. We always say that. So if the biggest stars don't play, and LeBron, unfortunately, is the biggest star, if he don't play, what are we going to tell the fans? What do we tell the fans? LeBron, we'd like you to play because you're the biggest star in the NBA. It's a star-driven league. We're in the midst of a pandemic, so we're making concessions. Could you play?
Please.
And you know what he's going to say? He's going to say, I played all the way up. I gave you all everything. I won a championship. I need some time off. That's what's gonna happen.
But Frank,
Are
you
you
said it out of
speaking
your
for
own,
him,
you
Frank,
said it out of
or
your
has
own
he
mouth
said
when you
this?
said you chose this profession. You said that out your own mouth. That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
It's
You
a very demanding job. It's a demanding profession. And here's my thing. We got to stop feeling sorry for people who pick jobs that are actually great jobs that you get to choose to go into. Like you didn't get forced into it. There wasn't a military draft. Now those people I feel sorry for. They away from their family. They ain't had no damn choice. They just happened to be 18 at the wrong time.
Right.
How many? I think about how many millions of guys
and they're playing
would
for a
love
tenth
to
of
be.
a tenth of that the same thing he's making. They're playing a tenth of a tenth. You know, they're making
how
no
many
money.
millions? I would think how many millions of people would love to be in a position to like forget the COVID, just would like to play NBA basketball and to make, you know, even the minimum salary. The minimum salary is not a bad salary. Them guys make $1 million. Like the vast majority of people in America is not going to see $1 million in 1 year. That's just not happening. How many guys would love to be in that position? And then you making forget about the money, because the money is just not an issue. At the end of the day, I think
you make that money in 22 years old. That would be huge. That's huge.
Say what?
You're making that kind of money and you're 22 years old. Like nobody's doing that.
Right. But I think it really boils down to and I'm going back to the old school again. I think those guys understood that their responsibility was to the fans, and again, you talk about the Olympics. The Olympics is every 4 years. You know what I mean? It's not like they're playing every year. And I mean, they do.
No, that's a different conversation. That's a different. That's what the NBA start. They want the NBA themselves. NBA management wants this to start this year, so it doesn't roll into the Olympics next year. That's why the NBA is pushing forward to it now, because the NBA don't want to sit there and say, okay, well, there's NBA games going on and there's Olympic games going on, because that's all on NBC. You know what I mean? So they want to make sure that the ABC contracts and the TNT contracts is over, and they sit there and say, okay, that game, now we get ready to get our NBC games, which we're broadcasting Olympics. That's the big thing. Now let's move the conversation forward, because like I said yesterday, we could talk about this for a whole show. Now we could. Now here's the thing that continue on in the NBA before we jump into the NFL. Continue on in the NBA. Yesterday we were talking about Gordon Hayward, right? And this Gordon Hayward situation now kind of stems from the conversation we were just having. Gordon Hayward, it might not opt in now with the Celtics at all and still go out there. Now, he might not opt in, because if he opts in, let's think of it financially. If he opts in, the Celtics are obligated to pay him $35 million. He now feels that if he doesn't opt in and he becomes a unrestricted free agent and everything else, he might be able to get more, or maybe somewhat a little bit of what he was supposed to get, but he knows he won't get the amount of money that the Celtics will have to pay him, but the Celtics won't be able to pay him $35 million because of the COVID season. You know what I mean? So he's thinking about, I opt out. Okay, I'm not going to get $35 million, but I might get 25 million. You see where I'm going with that? So he'll make less money regardless, but he's going to make more than he would if he was to opt in. So he's thinking about going out. So now I'll throw it to you, Talent. Well, Talent just failed. I'll throw it to you, Fig. What's your process when you hear that it's about money for him? It don't even seem like it's about anything else for him but money. You know, what you got?
I don't understand. Coming off that injury, if you can sign and get 30,
35.
I don't even care what they do after I sign. I don't care if they send me somewhere that's going to match them. I got to get my money. Like, I don't know if a Gordon Hayward's going to get a good number doing the Dolo thing. I don't know. I'm signing and getting the money, even if that means they send my ass to Memphis or somewhere else. Yeah, I'll figure everything out later, but I need the guaranteed check.
I can't even dispute that. I see where he's going, but it seems like he's being led by money. Like, that's his main concern, in my thoughts. I don't know. What's your thought, Vic?
I just think that this is an unusual time, like we've been saying all along. And if you want to get
interesting, if
you want security, I wouldn't be opting out of no contract. This ain't the time to opt out of no contract.
That's what I'm saying.
I know that during the pandemic, You this ain't put it this way. It ain't the time to quit your job. You know what I mean? Because unemployment ain't paying that much. I'm just trying to tell you right now, Gordon. You ain't getting 30 million from unemployment. I don't care what you put on your paper. I get whatever they have to negotiate. They'd have to negotiate around that 30 million. Like whatever percentage we ain't gonna get, it's gonna be a percentage of that 30 million. You think I'm gonna just opt out of $30 million and test the open market and think that I might be able to get 30 million after what you've done over the last 3 to 4 years? No.
But do we think he's worth it?
No, man. Gordon Hayward, unfortunately, after the horrific injury, Gordon Hayward's stock has gone down because guess what? He has never gotten back to that level of play before the injury. Now, before the injury, like Gordon Hayward was that dude. It's like, yo, man, this kid, you know, he's a baller. I'm not saying he's never going to get back to that. You know, he's just been one injury after another. But you got 30 million on the table, man. I mean, take that 30 million and whatever the NBA is going to negotiate because of COVID, you know, and take it away so many games, whatever that number is going to dwindle down to, I'm sure it's going to be way more than any other team is going to pay you on the open market. I just take that 30 million, wait out the COVID, and then try and renegotiate next year.
You know, that's my thought. I'm just trying to figure out I would love to know what his agent's telling him, what they trying to figure out. I would love to know that. You know, I'll do some research on that.
He needs to go see a psychic because
here's the next thing.
His agent ain't telling him but the right thing, man. Like,
his agent's probably trying to push for him to get the more, because the more money he makes, the more money the agent makes. You know how that goes.
Right.
Here's the thing. Chris Paul now is obviously making some news more and more. He has now X'd off the Knicks. The Bucks don't want him for what they're asking for. So now it's the choice between the Clippers or the Lakers. And it looks like that he's leaning towards going to the Clippers. I can't say for certain. Nobody knows what's really going on behind the scenes. We really don't know. But Chris Paul to the Lakers or the Clippers. So I'll throw it out there to you, Talent. Chris Paul, Lakers, Clippers.
I think it's going to depend on the rumor mill with Paul George. If the rumors are correct and Paul George is out of there, I see him going to the Clippers. If Paul George is staying, I see him going to the Lakers. It's all about because I think he's he's like, in Fig word, he's a dog, you know, and he's a real baller, and he's gonna go where he's more needed. You know what I mean? As opposed to, because each one is right there, a real high caliber winning team. So one is not negating the other one unless you're more needed on one than the other. That means that he's going to be, if you're more needed there, you know, you're going to get more minutes. You're going to get the minutes you want. You can get the shots you want. You know, you're going to stay, in other words, at a Chris Paul level. If you go to a team stat where you become, what do we call it, a role player or so, and they need you less, everything's going to diminish. You're not going to be at a Chris Paul level. You're going to be less like you could be anybody. You could be the Rondo. You could be any journeyman that we name. He's a little above that. And if you go to a team that needs you less, you become, like we're talking about Gordon Hayward, you become one of these guys. Chris Paul is Chris Paul. He's not meant to be one of these guys. So I say that to say, if the trade goes through or they're seriously getting rid of Paul George, he'll be a Clipper. If not, he most likely will be a Laker.
Okay, I like that analogy. I like that.
Yeah, man. First off, before I say anything, let me just start out with this. I am so happy that the deal didn't happen with the Knicks, and I'm gonna tell you why. It just shows that maybe the Knicks have turned the corner, because the Knicks have been famous for getting the older player at the end of his career and giving him a boatload of money.
The Knicks didn't turn the corner. Chris Paul don't want to go to the Knicks.
Listen, I understand. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying. I'm just glad that the Knicks didn't throw a whole bunch of money at a player that's a little older with a young team. I'm happy for Chris Paul that he has an opportunity to go to LA or the Clippers. I think the Clippers would be better for this reason. LeBron is ball dominant in LA, and it seems in order for LeBron to thrive, he needs to handle the ball. You know what I mean? I don't see LeBron as a spot up shooter. I think he can play anything, but I think he's most effective when he has the ball in his hand. On the other hand, the Clippers need a floor general. That is the one piece that they did not. I mean, I had a bunch of dogs over there, but they didn't have no floor general and no leader on the court. And that's exactly what Chris Paul is. What makes Chris Paul so valuable to a team like the Clippers, even though at his elevated age, NBA age, I should say, he's never been an athletic type player. He's always been cerebral. You know what I mean? So I like Chris Paul because he can beat you with the skills that he has in his mind. Like, he controls the game because he sees the floor. He knows what's going on. He's a floor general, and he's a dog. You know what I mean? He's a warrior on the court. And I think the Clippers could benefit from that. He seems to be, look, he's the leader of the president of the Players Association. So you can tell he's a leader and he's vocal. That's not a job you can have if you're not vocal. And that's the piece that the Clippers missed. They missed that vocal leader on the floor when things was going crazy last season. They could have, with a Chris Paul, I think he would have galvanized that team. I think they would have won, and they would have ended up playing the Lakers and then let the.
I agree with you. I agree with
that too. Now, also a big rumor that started jumping off, and it actually is taking more than just life. It looks like it's really going to happen, which is shocking to me, is that Giannis is going to get traded, and it looks like he's getting ready to, if he gets traded and everything works the way that they're expecting it to, word is out of all the NBA circles and all my sources is that he's going to land in Miami with a very long-term deal. Very long-term with Miami. So I don't know if out there you talent. Do you see Giannis in Miami making sense and everything else? Because if Pat Riley gets his way, and from what I've been hearing and what I've been reading, it looked like that's going to happen.
Well, two things, man. Anybody with any caliber going to Miami makes sense. Miami's in a great place right now as a team. However, this is the part of the league I don't like. You know, you get these teams that need these big players to just be relevant and give them a chance to win and be in the conversation and in the playoffs and stuff like that. And a player could play for the team and just for other reasons as obvious as money and who they want to play with, you can just wipe a team kind of naked and shoot them back down to the bottom of the barrel trying to claw up to the playoffs again. Like, they done built everything around you, the guy. Like, this is your city. This is your team. And then you'll have a disappointing series or two or season and be like, I'm going to Golden State Warriors. I'm going to Miami. I'm going to the Lakers. This is the part of the game I never got used to. I never was gung-ho on the way free agency's done and everything. And I know it gets more and more behooving the player as a business standpoint and everything, an opportunity. But I don't like it. Like, if I'm Milwaukee, whether I'm the coach, whether I'm the GM, or whether I'm a good player, you just made my life miserable and 100 times harder than it was.
I want to throw something to both of you. Remember a couple weeks ago when the Lakers won the championship, and I said when Giannis goes home, we're going to hear something big happen this summer because his brother is going to be like, yeah, look at this. I got this. Yeah. Remember I said that? Now, imagine from the time the Lakers won the championship to today, there has been rumors that Giannis is getting ready to move. Now, who is ultimately fake? Who is pushing that? You know, you see where it's going. You see where I'm going with this? It had to be Giannis going back to the management saying, listen, I'm not liking with the pieces we got. You all not making what you're telling me is not making no sense right now. I want to get traded. I got one more year in my contract. Y'all might as well trade me. And then the conversation is picking up because this. I'm not telling you this is rumor. This is a fact. This fact is happening right now that Miami is trying to work out something right now with Milwaukee where he's going to get traded with Miami. And Giannis has already agreed. He's already agreed to a long-term deal in Miami if the trade goes through. So that part is already said and done. So what's your thought process on this, Fig?
You know, I know you probably don't have it because if you did, you would have said it. I just was wondering, who would be going to Milwaukee?
Probably half the team, and they'll build from him. You know what I mean? Probably.
But listen, you got. I mean, there was a couple of guys over there that I saw in Miami that looked like some shooters that would help Giannis out a lot. I'm just trying to figure out who they're going to replace Goran Dragic with, because that was their point guard and their leading scorer. And it seems as though, I mean, Jimmy Butler's okay, but Jimmy Butler's not a point guard. He's not going to get everybody involved and stuff like that. So I'm just wondering who is Miami going to get to run the team? I mean, you got the pieces in place. You know, you got to put it this way. You take Giannis and you put him in Miami. You got a great race car, but you ain't got no driver. Who's going to drive the car? That's what we had in LA with the Clippers. The Clippers had a great race car. That race car was ready to win. That race car could have beat any vehicle on the damn track, but you didn't have no driver. And that was the point. So I'm like, who is Miami going to get to drive this, this race car?
Let's look at it like this. Who do you think that the Miami Heat's not going to trade? And I think it's going to be Hero. They're not going to trade Hero because he's on a rookie contract and he's so young. I think they're not trading him. I think they're definitely not trading Jimmy Butler because of what Jimmy Butler brought to the team. And I don't think they're going to trade Bam. I think everybody else is tradable. That's
there was another. Who was the other tall? Forgive me, I'm not being racist. Who was the other tall white boy that was a shooter?
That was Kelly Olynyk.
No, not Olynyk. There was.
I know you talk about the other guy who's sitting on the bench a lot. But
yeah, I think that kid was a look. They had to convince this kid to shoot, and he was a knockdown shooter. I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't see no driver. The part that they needed to me was somebody to replace Goran Dragic. Now listen, you get a Giannis on your team, you become automatically box office.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's box office. You got Giannis, Jimmy Butler, these young players around him. But I'm just like, where are you going without a driver?
Talent. Giannis, Bam, and Hero and Butler will beat most everybody in the Eastern Conference. Correct? You don't like. I can't see any teams with Giannis and Hero and Jimmy Butler and Bam. They beat the Celtics. They beat the Sixers. Yeah. They beat. I don't even care if the Sixers end up getting James Harden. They would beat them too. You know what I mean? Because now you got outside shooters. You got somebody who can slash the basket. You got inside presence. That would be a piece that get them to the Eastern Conference for several years in a row. And then on top of that, they could be formidable in the finals.
Hold on. Right. You still got to see Brooklyn.
Okay, you can see Brooklyn, but Brooklyn, yeah, but I don't know. You mean, listen,
Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving.
I don't know.
That's if they make it a whole season, and that's if they're not injured. So you're right.
If they're not injured. That's always the caveat to every argument. If they're not injured.
No, that's a caveat to Kyrie Irving every year. Yeah, because I can't think of one complete season he's played in a long time. But that's a whole other conversation. I got to move to the NFL because it's the time is moving, and let's see what I wanted to talk about when it comes to the NFL, because there's a lot of going on in the NFL. The first thing that jumped off the page I heard this morning that nobody talked about on ESPN or anything else is that J.J. Watt is very upset. He wants out of Houston. He's getting ready to try to see if he can force himself out of Houston. The trade deadline already passed. His contract kind of got him locked in, but I don't want to say he's being disruptive in the locker room, but he's not happy. He's just not happy. So if you're J.J. Watt and you're in Houston, do you continue down the path that you're going so you get yourself out of there, or do you say, you know what, I'm going to stay here and I rebuild?
Yeah, see, football is a whole different sport, man. You get a guy, you can bury a lot of guys in other sports, but in football, guys that play those important positions for you that made the name for themselves, you can't bury them. It's like you make them happy or you send them somewhere where they can be happy. You know, so he's that guy. He's one of the top guys in the league. He's proven. He's one of them all-star players. You gotta, if you can't come to some sort of agreement and make him happy, and usually that just means moving some pieces around. And if you can't do it, I don't think they have a choice. I'm not mad at JJ. I mean, you work hard to get to a level to at least have some power to demand a few things.
I agree with you. And he's at that level right now. Oh, before I forget, I got to say a big shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers last night, because I don't know if either one of you all know, if our listening audiences know, they're the only team, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, anything else. Last night, they fed the poll workers at the Allegheny site in Pennsylvania. They fed them all. And as we all know, You know how they did, you know how it was for polling. Like those dudes need to get a big, like they like.
Nice.
I need to get him like that. That was huge. Not to mention, we all know in this polling situation and everything else, all that drama that was going on with the news cameras and all that other stuff. So I want to give a big shout out to them. But anyway, continuing on with the conversation, Faye, if you're JJ Watt and you're doing, you know, you're very angry now because you lost your coach. You know, your team was supposed to be a perennial, you know, playoff team. Last year you were. This year you're nowhere. What's your thought process? He's unhappy. He doesn't want to rebuild.
Aren't they getting rid of players over there too?
Yeah.
They're getting rid of players. I'm just like,
yeah, they made a huge trade. DeAndre Hopkins left last year with a trade, but that was before the coach got fired. Coach/GM got fired, so he's not liking the going up and down with the Houston Texans. He's just not liking it. He wants out, so I can't get mad at him. Next year, I wouldn't be surprised. To be honest with you, I would be surprised to see him land on Tampa Bay. That's how I see it. But
yeah, man, it's so crazy. You know, you're on this team and you're a star, and then for some reason the management starts to, you got rid of arguably the best receiver in the whole damn game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the coach gets you. I'm like, man, it's like you want out, but here's the thing. It's a little too late now, JJ. You got to wait till next year because the trade deadline is over. They can't trade you now.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You should have been making this 3-4 weeks ago. You know what I mean? If you wanted out, that was the time. I mean, look, if I'm JJ Watt, as soon as they get rid of D-Hop, I was like, something wrong. Let me out of here. That's the time that I want to go. He's one of the best. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL. Like maybe top 2 or 3. Like arguably, you know what I mean? I can make a case that he's top 2 or 3. You get rid of that dude, it's like, okay, what direction are we going? Like, and trading him for who? You know what I mean? And the team started to fall off. You see clearly the team started to fall off as soon as you traded him because you lost your biggest offensive weapon. That doesn't make any sense to me. I would have wanted out a long time ago. Unfortunately, JJ, you got to finish this season because there's nothing else they can do with you. You played on a team. No other team could really pick you up, even if they released you. You know what I mean? And the trade deadline is over, so you stuck.
Yeah. Now, here's another thing I want to throw out to you guys, because you guys are some New York guys, but it looks like Cowboys have been, talking to the Jets and the Giants to figure out, how they can mix and move some pieces for next year. Now, we all know the Jets got 24, 25, 26 picks in the next 2-3 years. They are buyers right now in the market. And right now, they have the Cowboys are listening for this upcoming offseason. So do you see the Cowboys and the Jets making some big major moves with each other in the offseason, talent?
Two horrible teams in business. I take him. He sucks. Yeah, but he sucks more than he sucks. Oh, okay. And what about him? Oh, he's horrible. Yeah, but he's not horrible as him. I can't even. This don't even make any sense. Like, I guess the only thing we could be talking about is picks. It can't be what we already got.
It's definitely picks.
No, but I think that's a funny thing though. It's very funny. Yeah, I can see that. You got two. Here's the thing: at the end of every season, there's a pool of players and teams I call the Desperados. The Desperados at the end of every season, they will not cease to amaze you the limits that they will go to just be able to win a game. Because it's the Desperados bucket. Everybody down there sucks. And they you know how you said, who one of y'all said earlier in the week about how these all-stars, when they walk in the room with the other all-stars, they want to be able to say, look, I got a ring. Yeah, you got a ring. I got a ring. Somebody said that earlier in one of the shows. What do the bums do? What do they talk about at the bum bar? Yeah, I'm selling my house too.
The bum bar. Is that a word of the week? The bum bar?
The bum bar.
Is that one word? Bum bar?
It gotta be one word. The bum bar. The guy walks in like one of the bad quarterbacks. Oh, there you go. He threw 7 interceptions too. What's up, player? You know, like what do you do at the bum bar? So I can see that, Frank. I can see these guys getting together and swapping some picks depending on rounds and slottage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Depending on where the slot is and what round, it makes sense to do dealings.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. My concern is who on the Cowboys they're gonna trade for some of those picks, because the Jets got a lot of picks. And I just hope the Cowboys ain't thinking about signing and trading Dak Prescott when he get help. That's all I'm worried about. Like, I hope they ain't thinking about that process. But anyway, Fig, what's your thought?
Man, okay. I'm gonna tell you. Let me just give you this caveat. I'm speaking as a pure New Yorker. My team is horrible. I'm not giving up none of my picks. I ain't got nobody that you ain't got nobody I want. Any player on I guarantee you, any player on the Dallas Cowboys and the Jets want, the Cowboys don't want to give up. I'm not going into business with a shark. Jerry Jones is a shark. I'm not going into business with Jerry. I'm not giving up my picks. You don't got nothing I want, Jerry. I know I got everything you want. Why do I want to do business with you? That's like the rabbit doing business with the fox. It ain't gonna go good.
Say what you want. I know the Giants are not doing good, but I was at the bum bar last night. They bought the first 2 rounds.
Actually, the Giants.
And especially the Giants. Why would I help a team in my division?
Yeah.
Like, that don't make any sense. I'm going to help a team in my division. I mean, it's even bad for the Jets, but the Giants?
Listen, the Giants wouldn't do it.
The Giants are not. I don't think the Giants are going to do it.
But see, here's the difference in the Jets and the Giants. And Fig, as being a New Yorker, this to be true. The Giants, the difference in the Jets and the Giants, when the Jets know when they suck. The Giants keep hope alive no matter how bad the season. That's why they held on to Eli Manning too long. Eli was there about 3-4 seasons too long.
Bro, they kept hope alive and won a Super Bowl with that hope alive, because
but that's the kind of team they've always been.
Yeah.
Think about it. They've won Super Bowls by field goals, 3 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're the type of team that, remember I always talk about that conservative play? Come on, let's keep it real. When Phil Simms was there, you ain't had no choice but to play conservative. What the hell he gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Every time you send Phil Simms and he go, please, Phil, don't throw over 7 yards.
Yeah.
The players, the receivers used to take the field and they'd be like, y'all forgot to play. What's the play? I don't know, but I know we ain't running no bomb routes.
The funny thing about it is that the Giants, I just don't understand, how do you go away from a formula that you've been winning with like since forever? The Giants have always won with a great defense. Mm-hmm. It's always been the defense with the Giants. The Giants have always been able to put pressure on the quarterback and then score a little bit of points,
right? But
not give up a bunch of points. And that's the way we win. That's the way, Frank.
That's the way it usually works. But Frank is right.
But that's the way we beat New England in both Super Bowls. We put a lot of pressure on Brady, and we won. So
but
you look at the defense.
What Frank always said. Now, this is a case where Frank is right when he say, do I take the player or the coach? They should have got rid of the player. Eli's been there 3-4 seasons too long. The coach wasn't doing bad. He was still on that defensive formula.
They should have kept Coughlin.
Yes. When they got rid of him.
But you know what, though? They listen, with the stuff that was going on with OBJ and stuff like that, it seemed like Coughlin had lost the locker room. And then we had and we gave up a great defensive player because he had an accident, which was dumb. But look how he's doing now. We gave up Jason Pierre-Paul. That is like the Knicks formula. We give up a player right before he peaks. You know what I mean? The Knicks are famous for cultivating a player for 2 to 3 years, send him away, and then in his 4th year, he becomes a star.
But what you can't do, Fig, is you got to pick a side of the gate. You got to be on Frank's side and say, hey, coach. Or you got to be where I say, hey, player. You can't do both, because look what the same thing the Giants did. Oh, we're going to get rid of Coughlin. Then you end up getting rid of OBJ. Same thing the Knicks did. You get rid of Melo, then you get rid of Phil Jackson. You can't do both.
Right. And we gave away, Brown.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
coach.
All right,
That was the last coach the Knicks had that won anything.
all right, let's get ready to do the picks. We got to get ready to do the picks because the time is rolling out. Even though I'm gonna go over 2 minutes because we started 2 minutes late.
Do
Hold on.
you want the results from last
Yeah,
week?
yeah. Let's do the results from last week quickly so we can go through the picks.
Okay, here's the results from last week. I called last week the horrible because
Yeah, because it was horrible. Go ahead.
everybody did horrible.
Go ahead.
So listen, we had Rodney Perry that had 8 wins. We had Frank that had 7 wins. Talent had 6 wins.
Damn.
You took a lot of you took a lot of risks last week though, Talent.
Yeah, I did.
I had 8 wins. Stacks had 8 wins. Bringing it back to Stacks at the top with 55. I have 54. Talent has 54. Frank got 51, and Rodney got 50.
I'm just glad Zach didn't hear that. So we gotta get our picks in real fast.
God, yes, Lord, we can't take Stacks being ahead by 1.
Yeah, y'all ready? So
Let's
tonight
do it.
we got Green Bay versus San Francisco, and because of what's happening right now, I think it's going to be a pretty fair, even shot to say that Green Bay is going to beat San Francisco with all the COVID and the injuries that they got. So, anybody got anything different to say?
Green Bay.
Green Bay, baby. I'm going with Green Bay.
All right, the Giants are playing Washington. I got the Giants. Who you got?
I
Tim?
got the Giants.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. We just got finished talking about them. Hopefully, they do something, man. Come on, Daniel Jones.
Yeah. The Bears are playing Tennessee. I'm taking Tennessee.
Who's
Count.
playing Tennessee?
The Bears are playing Tennessee.
I
Count.
got the Titans.
Who you got, Fig?
Yeah, man, I'm going with Tennessee this week, man. I think they do for a comeback.
Detroit is playing Minnesota. That's one of my toss-up games. I don't know who would win that one, but Detroit playing Minnesota. I'm a Fig. Who you got? Detroit or Minnesota?
You know what? I'm gonna go with Detroit.
Okay. Who you got, Talent?
I'm gonna go with Minnesota.
I'm gonna go with Minnesota too. Carolina Panthers are playing Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going with Kansas City. I don't think anybody's going against Kansas City right now, especially Carolina. Fig, who you got?
KC.
Okay. Houston's playing Jacksonville. I'm taking Jacksonville because Houston is just falling apart, completely apart. Fig, who you got? Houston or Jacksonville?
I'm gonna go with Jacksonville because we just got finished talking about J.J. Watt not wanting to be there, and I think that will upset the locker room. So
It's already upset the locker room because it already got out. Fig, Talent, who you got?
Jacksonville, bro.
All right, Baltimore's playing Indianapolis Colts. The Colts got the number 2 defense in the league right now. Let's make sure we say that. They got the number 2 defense in the league. But Baltimore's playing at Indianapolis. So who you got, Fig? The Ravens or the Colts?
man, I'm going with Baltimore, man. I don't care about their defense, man. I'm going with Baltimore.
I think y'all talk too much smack about this quarterback for the last week or two. I'm going with Baltimore. I think he got something to prove this week.
I'm going with Baltimore too. Seattle's playing Buffalo. Anybody got Buffalo?
Me.
Okay. How about you?
Man, that's a toss up, man. They both pretty strong, man. But I'm gonna go with Sierra, man. But I got Sierra.
Me too. Denver's playing Atlanta. Atlanta's looking pretty good the last 2 quarters. But Denver's playing Atlanta. Talent, who you got? Denver or Atlanta?
Where's it at?
In Atlanta.
Damn,
Hot wings.
that's a toss-up.
That's
It
hot
is.
wings.
I'm gonna go ahead, man, and Atlanta is looking good coming off the end of that. I'm gonna go with Denver.
Okay. Fig, who you got?
Man, I'm going with Atlanta because the Broncos is coming in, and they don't get an opportunity to go to Magic City that often unless they visit Atlanta. So I got to feel it. Saturday night, they're going to spend a lot of time in Magic City.
All right. I got the Broncos too. I got the Broncos. The Raiders are playing the Chargers.
You got who, Frank?
I got the Broncos. The Raiders are playing the Chargers. Who got who?
Damn, that's another toss-up. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go with the Raiders.
Okay. And who about you, Fig? I'm gonna go out of the limb and pick the Chargers.
Yeah, man. I'm going with the old school coach, man. I'm going with the Raiders.
I'm going to go out the limb and go with the Chargers. Pittsburgh is playing Dallas. Anybody got Dallas? I ain't think so. We're going to move forward. Miami is playing Arizona.
What you got against the Nuki? You on that?
Miami, come on, Vic. I got to go to time. Miami's playing Arizona. Who got Miami? Anybody? Miami, Arizona?
Damn. I so want to do it, but I'm not gonna do it.
Y'all gotta do what? You're not gonna do Arizona?
No, I'm not gonna do Miami.
You're not gonna do
I'm
Miami?
gonna take the Cardinals.
I'm going with the Cardinals in the Lilliputian, man.
I'm going with the Cardinals. The Saints are playing the Bucks. I'm taking the Bucks.
I got the Bucks.
Bucks, but okay. And the Patriots are playing the Jets. Anybody got the Jets? Anybody? Any takers? Anybody? Any takers? And that probably be the game the Jets win.
Yeah, you know what? And I really think that I'm gonna take the Jets.
You gonna take the Jets? Okay. All right. He go on record. Make sure Fig.
I think that's gonna be the game they win.
Okay. How about you, Fig?
Ain't no way on God's green earth Bill Belichick is going to lose to this Jets team that hadn't won a game all year. Bill will go out there and play his damn self. I'm going with
you know the funny thing is, because you said that and what's going on in New England, that would probably be the game that the Patriots lose. But I'm taking the Patriots over the Jets. Anyway, that's our time. We got to wrap this up real fast. Tell everybody out there how they can follow you.
Hey man, follow me if you dare. I'm on Twitter. It's just comedy, talented comedian on IG and Facebook. I'm King Talent Harris. You know what it is. Tell them, Fig.
I'm at all those places too. And if you can catch me at Comedian Fig everywhere on social media platforms.
That's hilarious. Talent is here today. Fig is here. Stack ain't here. Rodney Perry's not here. They should be back tomorrow. Actually, Rodney Perry be back Monday. But anyway, this is your show that we call The Box Seats. I'm Frank Holder. We're on every Monday through Friday, 1 to 2. We are on the Humor Mill channel. We are also on the app, and we want you to call your cable service provider to see if you could call them and say, hey, add this channel to our cable service provider. We appreciate that. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Thanks to all the people who've been texting in too. We see you. Can't go through the names because there's so many of y'all, but we appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Box Seats, 1 o'clock. Until then, have a good day.